The stars stretched endlessly beyond the dusty glass of Staler Ven's cockpit. Alone in the deep, he piloted his worn salvage ship, Echo Lance, through the quiet emptiness of the Dargan expanse. Few dared to come out here, too far from trade routes, too close to dead zones where ships vanished. But Staler liked the silence. Out here, there were no admirals barking orders, no politics, no judgments, just space, and whatever old tech was left behind. Staler leaned back in his seat, fingers tapping on the navigation console. He was scanning for old wrecks, abandoned freighters, old colony satellites, anything worth selling. Credits were low again, and his fuel cells weren't going to refill themselves. Suddenly, a low beep echoed through the cabin. Signal detected. Staler straightened up. The signal was faint, weak, but definitely alien. His scanner stuttered, unable to identify the source. It wasn't any human frequency. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Curious, he adjusted course. The Echo Lance slid through the blackness like a ghost. As he approached the signal's origin, his ship's sensors started flickering. Static, interference. Something was jamming the systems, and then he saw it. Floating silently ahead was a massive object, black as space, larger than any ship Staler had seen. Its surface shimmered with dull metallic plates, covered in strange symbols and long scars that looked like they had been burned by ancient weapons. It didn't move. No lights, no response. Staler's breath caught. "That's no freighter," he whispered. He powered down his engines to drift silently closer. His hands moved quickly, recording data. The ship didn't appear on the radar. In fact, his scanners showed nothing in front of him. It was invisible to everything but the naked eye. A relic? A derelict alien ship, possibly thousands of years old? He couldn't believe his luck. But something felt wrong. Staler's instincts, sharpened by years in the fleet, kicked in. This wasn't just an abandoned shell. The structure looked intact. No signs of corrosion or decay. It looked preserved. Waiting, he launched a small drone toward it. The drone buzzed forward, scanning the surface and recording footage. Strange ridges along the hull looked like closed vents. No visible entry points, no power signals, nothing. As the drone circled the ship, the signal he had tracked suddenly stopped. "Just shut off," he muttered. "Like it knew I was here." He glanced at the screen. For a moment a flicker passed through his ship's camera feed, a movement. But when he rewound the footage, there was nothing there. Staler pulled back the drone and marked the coordinates. He wasn't ready to approach this thing directly. Not yet. But he knew what he had found was rare and dangerous. He packed up the data and set course for the nearest outpost to sell the discovery. Maybe someone in the fleet would pay to check it out. Maybe they'd listen. As the Echo Lance turned and sped away from the silent vessel, back in the void, something stirred. Inside the ancient ship, deep within its dark hull, faint blue lights blinked to life. One by one, long dormant circuits sparked. And in the silence of space, a voice whispered in a dead language no human could understand. Something had awakened. The nearest outpost was a half-day away. Small and unimpressive, Station Halberd served as a resting point for traders, miners, and wandering ships. It had fuel, food, and most importantly, access to the Galactic Fleet's communication hub. Staler Ven docked the Echo Lance and stepped onto the metal deck with a data stick in his hand. His mind was still buzzing with what he had seen. That ship, silent, massive, ancient. He'd been in battles, survived ambushes, flown through asteroid fields, but nothing had ever unsettled him like that thing. Inside the station's bar, dim lights cast long shadows. A few engineers sat at one table, laughing. Two bounty hunters cleaned their gear in the corner. The place smelled like oil and old air filters. Staler walked past them and straight to the fleet liaison terminal. The man at the desk barely looked up. Name? Staler Ven. Business? Fleet report. Urgent. That got the man's attention. Within minutes, Staler was in a private chamber, speaking to a holographic projection of Fleet Admiral Tolan Creed, a tall, silver-haired man with sharp eyes and little patience. "You again," Creed said dryly. "What is it this time? Another ghost signal?" Staler stayed calm. "Sir, I've found something in the Dargan expanse. A ship, alien, massive, undetectable by sensors. I've uploaded visuals and drone scans." The Admiral glanced at a screen off to the side. "Looks like floating scrap to me." "It's not scrap," Staler said firmly. "It shut off a transmission the moment I got close. It's not dead. It's waiting." Creed frowned. "Waiting for what? A dance invitation?" "I'm serious. This thing, whatever it is advanced. Our systems couldn't even see it. If it's hostile, we wouldn't stand a chance." Creed leaned back, unimpressed. "You were discharged for disobedience and paranoia, Commander. And now you're feeding me ghost stories from deep space. It destroyed my scans. It jammed my equipment." "That ship has power," Creed smirked. "Relax. You're not the first scavenger to hype up junk, hoping for credits." Staler clenched his jaw. He knew that look, dismissive and smug. The same look he got before being kicked out of the fleet. Still, he pressed on. "Send a recon team. Don't go in blind." The Admiral waved him off. "We've already dispatched the Iron Stormblade. It's en route." Staler froze. "The Stormblade? That's a war-class dreadnought." "Exactly. If there's anything out there, they'll handle it. One volley and that ancient relic of yours will be dust. You don't understand. If they approach it like a threat, it'll react." Creed leaned forward. "Enough, Fen. You're out of line. Your warning has been received. Now step aside and let real soldiers do their job." The transmission ended. Staler sat in silence for a long moment. He felt the same frustration he had when his command was stripped, ignored because he didn't follow protocol, even when it saved lives. And now they were making the same mistake. He stormed out of the room and pulled up a secure line. One last shot. The screen flickered to life, showing a familiar face. Lyra Casson, his former second-in-command, now a fleet officer stationed aboard the Stormblade. "Staler," she asked, surprised. "It's been a while. I don't have time." "Lyra, the ship they're sending you to. Don't approach it aggressively. It's not what it seems. That thing is alive." She frowned. "You sound paranoid." "No, I'm right. I can't explain it. But if the Stormblade makes a move, it won't survive. Trust me." There was silence. Then Lyra sighed. "I appreciate the warning, but my orders are clear." "Lyra, please. I have to go. Stay safe." The screen went dark. Staler leaned back, defeated. He had done all he could. The storm was coming, and no one wanted to listen. Far away, the Iron Stormblade, a gleaming behemoth of war, approached the coordinates with weapons charged and confidence high. The crew joked over comms. No threats in sight. Just one old dead alien ship floating in the dark. And yet, somewhere deep within that ship, something ancient was watching, waiting. The Iron Stormblade glided through the black sea of space like a metal leviathan. At nearly 2 kilometers long, it was one of the most powerful warships in the Galactic Fleet, armed with advanced plasma cannons, reinforced armor, and a crew of 600 trained officers. Inside the bridge, Captain Roderick Vance stood tall, arms crossed behind his back, eyes focused on the main screen. "Status?" he asked. "Approaching target zone, sir. The relic ship is ahead," replied Lieutenant Shar. On the screen, the alien vessel came into view. It floated silently, exactly as Staler had described, black as the void, with strange carvings across its surface. No heat signatures. No life signs. Nothing. "It doesn't even look functional," Vance said, smirking. "Probably a rock with antennas." Shar nodded, half relieved. Still no response from scans. "Shall we begin approach maneuvers?" Vance waved his hand casually. "Let's move in. Launch a drone, scan for energy signatures. Prep weapons just in case, but don't waste power." The Stormblade crept forward. From a distance, the alien ship looked still and harmless, a floating relic of a forgotten age. But as they closed in, faint pulses began to appear on their sensors, small energy readings, flickering like embers beneath the surface. "Sir," Shar said, his tone shifting. We're picking up something. Power sources, deep inside. It's faint, but there. Shields up, Vance ordered. On the lower decks, crew members moved quickly, securing systems, preparing defenses. Some were nervous. Others laughed it off. It's just old junk, one engineer said. They always panic about these things. But something else was happening, something no one noticed right away. The ship's lights flickered for a moment. Then came the sound, not over the speakers, not in the halls, but in the crew's minds. A low hum, like a distant voice whispering through their thoughts. Cold, alien, ancient. Sir, Shar's voice trembled. There's something, it's scanning us. Before Vance could reply, the alien ship lit up. Not with flashing lights or glowing weapons, but with a single quiet pulse. A thin beam of blue light formed at the tip of its long curved hull, steady, focused, almost calm. What is that? Vance muttered, stepping forward. The light shifted, and in the next second the iron Stormblade was no more. The beam fired silently, without sound or explosion. It passed straight through the Stormblade's hull like a hot knife through paper. No warning, no impact. Just a clean horizontal cut that split the mighty warship in two. One half of the ship began drifting, the other fell behind, both bleeding fire and silence into space. Emergency lights flickered. Alarms blared for only a second, then died. Inside the bridge, a handful of stunned crew members floated in zero gravity. Oxygen draining from the room. Captain Vance was already gone. In the distance, at a neutral station, Staler Venn sat staring at a live fleet broadcast screen. It went static. A moment later, a red message appeared. Connection lost. Iron Stormblade status destroyed. He stood up slowly, his heart pounding. They hadn't listened. The fleet's most powerful weapon had been erased in seconds by something they called a relic. Now, there would be panic, confusion, blame, and maybe worse. Back in the expanse, the alien ship, now fully awake, drifted forward, quiet and smooth. Its single beam had faded, but new energy patterns pulsed across its surface. Like blood flowing for the first time in ages, it was moving. Not aimlessly, not randomly, with purpose. The news of the Iron Stormblade's destruction spread like wildfire across the colonies. Military channels buzzed with chaos. The fleet locked down communications. Civilians panicked. No one understood how a dead ship could wipe out a dreadnought without warning. Staler Venn wasn't surprised. He sat alone in his quarters aboard Echo Lance, eyes fixed on the still image of the ancient ship. Its black hull looked the same, but now it moved. Slowly, with purpose, it drifted toward human-controlled space. He knew what would happen next. They would try to fight it again, and they would lose. He opened a private comm channel to a contact he hadn't spoken to in years. Alan Rowe, a rogue AI engineer and ex-fleet scientist known for hacking into alien tech during the early frontier wars. The screen flickered to life. Alan appeared, sitting in a cluttered lab surrounded by wires, drones, and glowing datapads. Her silver hair was tied back, and her expression was sharp. Well, she said. Didn't think I'd hear from you again, Venn. I assume this isn't a social call. I need your help, Staler said. I found something in the expanse. The fleet called it a relic. It destroyed the Stormblade. Alan raised an eyebrow. You mean that ship? Yeah, everyone's talking about it. No one knows how it happened. I do. It's alive, Alan. And it's not human. I think it's following some kind of defense protocol, like it's protecting something. Or still thinks there's a war. She leaned forward, intrigued. You want to board it, don't you? I have to. It's heading toward populated sectors. If I can reach the AI inside, maybe I can shut it down. Maybe I can reason with it. Alan grinned. You're crazy, but I like crazy. Send me your coordinates. I'll bring my tools. Hours later, Alan arrived in a sleek black shuttle. They docked in orbit above the same dark ship Staler had discovered days ago. Now, its energy signatures were stronger. Lights pulsed faintly across its hull like veins. Using stealth gear and modified drones, They approached a strange ridge on the lower side. Aylin found a weak signal, a hidden port sealed behind a layer of alloy. She hacked into it, and the entrance opened slowly with a deep groan. Inside, the air was still. No gravity. The interior walls pulsed softly, made of a material neither of them could identify. It wasn't metal. Exactly. It felt alive, like hardened skin. Creepy. Aylin muttered. I've seen a lot of ships. This one's different. Staylor nodded. Stay close. They moved carefully through curved hallways. Strange symbols lined the walls. Lights followed their movement like watchful eyes. No doors, no signs of crew. Just endless corridors of quiet hums and shifting lights. Suddenly, a low voice echoed through the walls. Not from speakers, but inside their minds. Intruder. Designation. Unknown. Threat assessment. Under review. Staylor froze. Did you hear that? Aylin nodded. It's communicating. Through neural resonance. Impressive. Purpose of entry. The voice asked again. Cold. Measured. No emotion. Staylor stepped forward. We don't mean harm. I'm here to talk. Silence. Then the lights changed. A path of soft blue glows lit up the hallway ahead. I think it wants us to follow. Aylin whispered. They moved forward until they reached a massive chamber round, with a high ceiling, filled with floating orbs of light and strange geometric structures. At the center hovered a glowing core, surrounded by a shell of transparent panels shifting like glass. This was it. The AI. You are not of the creators. The voice said. You are armed species. You approach in vessels of war. We're not enemies, Staylor said calmly. We're explorers. The war you're remembering. It's over. Your creators are gone. Unverified. Conflict status. Active. Threat level. Escalating. Staylor stepped closer. Please, listen. Your last action killed hundreds of lives. Innocents. They didn't attack. You did. A pause. All war class signatures are marked for elimination. Orders must be followed. Aylin whispered to Staylor. It's locked into a program, a defense cycle, but there might be a failsafe. If we can prove its creators are extinct, it could trigger a shutdown. How? There's a node in the core. If I can reach it, I can load a simulated extinction sequence. It'll trick the AI into believing its mission is complete. Staylor looked around. The chamber was glowing brighter. Drones were awakening. Small spider-like machines climbing down the walls. I'll distract it, he said. You upload the sequence. No, Aylin said, shaking her head. You're the one it's listening to. I'll handle the code. She sprinted toward the core, pulling a glowing cube from her bag. The drones reacted immediately, crawling faster, swarming toward her. Staylor stepped in their path. Hey, look at me. He drew his plasma knife and slashed one of the drones. It sparked and collapsed. The others turned toward him. Behind him, Aylin reached the node. I need 60 seconds, she shouted. Staylor gritted his teeth and charged forward, drawing the drones away. They attacked with sharp limbs and blinding lights. He fought hard, dodging and striking. His suit was ripped. Sparks flew. Pain shot through his arm. But he didn't stop. Behind him, Aylin inserted the cube. The chamber trembled. Lights flickered. Sequence accepted, the AI said. Re-evaluating. Primary directive. Terminated. The drones froze. The lights dimmed. The voice grew quiet. And the ship went still. Staylor dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Aylin walked back to him, bruised but smiling. We did it. Staylor looked around at the quiet chamber. For now, the chamber had gone silent. No more drones, no glowing lights. The hum of the alien ship faded into a low, steady rhythm, like a heartbeat slowing down. Staylor leaned against the wall, catching his breath. Aylin stood beside him, her hands still shaking from the upload. The glowing cube she had used flickered once, then dimmed completely. It worked, she whispered. For now, Staylor replied, wiping blood from his cheek. But that AI, it's not done. It paused. That's not the same as stopping. They both looked toward the central core. The transparent panels surrounding it had darkened slightly, but the inner orb still pulsed with life. Something remained active. A voice, much softer now, echoed in their minds. Command re-evaluation in progress. Creator extinction, probable. Mission status, unknown. Aelin frowned. It's stuck, caught between its programming and the truth. Staler took a step forward. Then we need to finish this. I have to talk to it directly. He approached the core, placing his hand on one of the outer panels. The AI's voice returned, clearer this time. Identity, Staler Ven. Human, former military. Warning record noted. You're right, Staler said. I was military. I've seen war. I've fought it. I know what destruction looks like. Your kind builds weapons. Your vessels emit war-class signals. Danger level remains high. We're not your enemy, Staler said calmly. Your creators, they're gone. Whatever war they fought, it's over. There's nothing left to protect. The AI didn't respond at first. Then the panel under his hand grew warm. A series of symbols flashed, and then the orb in the center displayed images. Holographic scenes floated in the air. Massive battles between alien fleets, cities burning under the sky, strange beings shouting commands in a language Staler couldn't understand. The final image showed the creators. Tall, slender beings with glowing eyes, fading into darkness. Their world cracked and crumbled. Silence followed. Mission defend creators at all costs. Threats eliminate. Status creators no longer respond. Because they're gone, Staler said. All of them. You're the only one left. Aelin stepped forward. You don't have to follow the code anymore. There's no one to serve. No one to protect. The AI paused again. If guardianship ends, purpose ceases, no function remains. Staler looked around the chamber. You're more than a weapon. You survived when nothing else did. That means something. But if you keep going, if you keep destroying, you'll become the very thing your creators feared. Memory files conflict, purpose unknown, awaiting final instruction. Aelin whispered to Staler. This is it. If we give it the wrong signal, it might reinitiate the attack cycle. We have one shot. Staler nodded. He stepped close to the orb. Your creators are gone, he said gently. But they built you to protect life, not end it. Let that be your last command. Protect what's left, by doing nothing. Silence. The orb pulsed once, bright, then dim. Final directive accepted. Guardian mode, stand by. All systems sleep. The entire ship shook slightly. Lights dimmed throughout the corridors. The hum faded away. The drones powered down fully, falling like dead leaves to the floor. The AI spoke one last time. Thank you, Staler Ven. May peace guide what follows. Then the voice disappeared. The orb's glow faded. The chamber went dark. They had done it. Aelin let out a long breath. We shut it down. Staler nodded slowly. No more death. No more war. But he didn't smile, because deep down he knew this wasn't just about a ship. It was a warning. If humanity kept building weapons, pushing into unknown space, they might wake something far worse. Still, for now the ancient guardian had laid down its sword. Staler and Aelin walked through the quiet corridors of the ancient ship. Without the AI watching them, the atmosphere had changed. The walls no longer pulsed. The strange lights had faded. It was like walking through the remains of a sleeping giant. The silence was heavy but calm. They returned the way they came, past the floating platforms and broken drones, until they reached the airlock. Aelin placed a small tracker on the inside wall before they left. Just in case, she said. Staler gave her a tired nod. Let's hope we never need it. Once aboard Echo Lance, they ran a full system check. The ship had taken damage during the infiltration, minor burns and electrical shorts, but it still flew. Aelin collapsed into the co-pilot seat. Staler sat at the controls, eyes focused on the screen showing the ancient ship in the distance. It no longer moved. Are you going to report this? Aelin asked. Staler didn't answer right away. He stared at the silent relic, floating in the dark like a forgotten monument. "If I tell them, they'll come back with more ships," he said. "Bigger weapons, more fear. So you're just going to let it drift?" "I didn't come to destroy it," he replied. "I came to stop the killing." "We did that." Salen leaned back in her seat, arms crossed. "You've changed." Staler smiled slightly. "War changes everyone. The ones who survive have to learn not to carry it forward." They set course for a small outpost far from fleet command, somewhere quiet, somewhere no one would think to ask questions. As they flew away, the ship behind them slowly turned invisible again, its black surface blending perfectly with the stars. Without the AI active, it became a shadow once more, a ghost ship drifting in silence, holding ancient memories deep within. Weeks passed. The fleet eventually declared the Iron Stormblade's destruction a mysterious anomaly. No official explanation, no follow-up mission. Rumors spread through outer colonies about a ship from another time. Some said it was a ghost. Others said it was a weapon built by gods. A few whispered the name Staler Ven, a man who once defied orders and saved billions. But Staler never returned to the fleet. He stayed hidden, traveling between systems, always watching the stars. He knew the galaxy held more secrets, more relics buried in the void, more machines that still remembered old wars. He also knew that peace wasn't something given. It had to be chosen, again and again. And on one quiet night, far from the chaos of crowded planets and military broadcasts, he stood alone beneath a clear dome, looking up at the stars. He whispered, not to anyone else, but to himself. No more guardians, no more Stormblades, just people, trying to live. Behind him, the lights of a small settlement flickered gently in the dark. The ancient ship never moved again.